Hello everyone, it's Emma and welcome back to my channel where we talk about everything about zero waste, but we focus specifically on free, easy, and fun ways to live low waste. And if you didn't know something about me, I have chronic illness. A couple of them. I have chronic migraines, as well as I was recently diagnosed with Raynaud syndrome, which apparently is linked to migraines, and I didn't know that. I've had symptoms of both for years, and I didn't get diagnosed with migraines until 2019, and then chronic migraines in 2021. And then Raynaud's was, I've known, like, I had suspected I had had it for years, but I didn't get a formal diagnosis until just this spring. Also, by chronic migraines, I mean chronic. First off, I forget that normal people don't even have migraines, like, ever. And I'm talking, I have migraines over half the time. I'm not even joking. I looked at my app the other day that I've been using to track my migraines since I was first diagnosed 4 years ago. I was shocked. 54% of my life, of my days, are migraine days. Those are just the days that are the worst. Like when I have a regular like low-grade headache, I don't log that because I'm like, I feel fine, I'm functioning fine. My normal level of pain is like a 3, you know? So it's only when it gets to like 5 or above that I'm like, okay, I should probably log this. So it's probably more than 54%. I guess a quick background about the Raynaud's as well. What Raynaud's is basically everybody has capillaries in their fingers and their toes, maybe in your whole body. People who have Raynaud's, your capillaries are already shrunk. Normal people, your capillaries are like regularly expanded, and when they get cold, they shrink. But those of us with Raynaud's, when our fingers and toes specifically, even sometimes people, their noses and their ears, this happens too. Since your capillaries are already shrunk, when they get cold, there's nowhere else for them to go, so the circulation just kind of shuts off. Here's a couple photos, free feet pics, I guess. Some photos of what my fingers and toes look like when this happens. It's very similar for everybody who gets Raynaud's. My fingers and toes, happens to my feet more often, turn white or like a yellowish white and go completely numb. It's very painful and very, very difficult to warm back up if you don't like instantly go back inside and like sit in front of a heater. And even then, like going from straight cold to straight warm is also dangerous. I believe Raynaud's is considered an autoimmune disease, but mine is very, very minor, so no one's really that worried about it for me. And the only medication that exists to like reduce the symptoms, there's not really a cure, I don't think. And obviously it's nothing life-threatening, like I'm totally fine. It's just, if I could get rid of it, that would be nice, but mine is very minor. I obviously take precautions like wear wool socks, carry a hand warmer with me, wear a hat and gloves, I've also learned that if I keep my organs warm, my blood will keep the blood in my fingers and toes instead of rather keeping my toes and my hands warm. I keep my organs warm. Anyway, there's a medication, but the only one that exists is it lowers your blood pressure, and my blood pressure is already so low that doctors are like, your blood pressure is so low. So I don't take any medication for this, and I have weaned off my medication for the migraine. Anyway, so I have tried basically every medication for migraines in the books. Amitriptyline, all the triptans, sumatriptan, I don't even know. The triptans made me so sick. I'm like, I would rather have a migraine than be this sick. Propranolol, again, a low blood pressure medication that my doctor did not look at my charts and say this is probably not a good medication for you. And I was nearly fainting every day and was like, dude, I need to stop this. And he's like, I wonder why. But I finally was able to see a neurologist starting in 2021. She wasn't great. Anyway, she finally had me on 2 very new, very strong medications, a combination, Ajovy, which was a monthly injection, and Nurtec. The angels sing for Nurtec. The Ajovy worked fine. I thought it reduced my pain levels, but not the pain frequency. So like I was still having migraines 54% of the time, but instead of my pain being like a 6 or a 7, it was like a 3 or a 4. So like it definitely helped, but the side effects, it was very minor side effects. Like the injection obviously hurt, and the injection site would be itchy and red for like a week. It was never an allergic reaction, just very itchy because I would inject right here on my waistband, so it would just be irritated all the time. But I'm in a weird window right now where I'm still in the Air Force, but I'm still technically not. I belong to my unit back in Nellis, but I'm not stationed. I'm up here in Spokane, living on Fairchild Air Force Base. For a program called SkillBridge, so I'm working with Washington State Parks as an intern while I'm processing getting out of the military. All that to say, I don't have a primary care provider right now because I don't belong to the base here at Fairchild. So it would take too long to get me assigned to a new PCP and then get me referred to neurology and then get that referral to neurology to get me a new prescription for this medication. All the while, in 3 months, I'm going to have access to the VA, to the Veterans Affairs medical system. So I had to stop the Ajovy cold turkey, and I didn't have any side effects from it. So I'm like, you know what? If I didn't have any side effects from stopping it, it probably wasn't helping me that much. So I'm just not going to take that ever again. But the Nurtec, it's a dissolvable tablet. It's like 50 or 75 milligrams. It has been the only pain relief that I have seen work for me probably 3/4 of the time. Like, I'll get lucky and Tylenol or Advil will work for me like 25% of the time. Like, it's pretty rare that I'm to the point where like I'm not going to risk the stomach and liver problems that these might work, so I just typically don't take them unless I'm really desperate. But the Nurtec works so good. So if you have migraines, talk to your doctor about it. But here comes the caveat, I am not a doctor. Everything we're going to be talking about in this video is my own personal experience of someone who has had chronic migraines and chronic pain for years, and just how I have my life of chronic pain and still live zero waste life. So take what you want, leave what you want, talk to your doctor as always. Oh, and then another thing, I also have arthritis. That one's a pretty new one. So I have really bad pain in my hands sometimes I don't. It comes and goes, but I'm trying to take care of it because I'm really, really young and I know it's just going to get worse with age. So I'm really trying to take care of my hands. All that to say, those are my health problems. Thank you for listening to that. Let's actually get into the content of the video. This is how I personally reduce waste as someone who lives with chronic pain. The first one is reusable ice packs, and if you're like, reusable, aren't all ice packs reusable? Some of them are not. I don't know who's out here buying non-reusable ones unless they're like in like sports medicine or something. But I remember these ice packs I would have when I did gymnastics. You just like twist them like a glow stick, shake it, and then it turns cold instantly. So those are really great for like sports injuries because they're like right there on the spot and they don't need to be kept cold like in a cooler. But at home, I always use reusables. Here's my favorites. Not gonna lie, I think I found this dumpster diving. I don't know where else I got this, and it is amazing. It's a hot and cold pack, as you can see. It's called Cameron's, if you want to look it up yourself. It also has French instructions, inclusive. But I specifically use this as ice only, just because it is my main ice pack, and this one gets really, really cold, and it stays cold forever. Like, I'll leave it on my bedside and pick it up in the middle of the night and it's still decently cold. The only reason I don't like this one is because of the Raynauds. So this one's great for my migraines because I can put it on my head and it feels great for migraines, but then I have to hold it and then my hand goes numb. You win and you lose when you have double conditions. So I invested in this. It's an ice helmet. It looks ridiculous. I've never actually seen myself with it on, so this is going to be a grand reveal for you and me. Oh yeah, it looks really silly. And it has this, I can't believe I'm putting this on the internet. It has these eye masks so you can have it over your eyes as well. Oh my gosh, when I tell you, that is so soothing. That is specifically very nice for bedtime because it serves as an eye mask, and I have to wear an eye mask to go to bed because the light bothers me because of migraines. So it serves as an eye mask as well. It's obviously very nice that I don't have to hold it with my hands, keeps my hands warm. My only downside with this one is it doesn't last near as long. This is probably like half an hour at best. So this is typically what I wear when I first go to bed to help me fall asleep. And then once this runs out, if I still have a migraine in the middle of the night, I'll reach for this one and then slap that on my head. By that time, it's less cold, so I can hold it on without my hand going numb. Transparency, I got this on Amazon like a couple months ago. Like, this was a new recent Amazon purchase. Something else that I have learned with living with chronic pain, you gotta do what you gotta do. I put off getting this for a couple months because I'm like, I don't want to purchase from Amazon. Like, it's so wasteful. This has changed my life. This has gotten rid of migraines. I used to be reliant on medication, and now I can use ice to help me fall asleep and get a good night's sleep and sleep pain-free. Your one purchase from Amazon isn't going to kill the planet. If you need something, like truly need it, get it. Because again, this has changed my life, and I don't mean that lightly. Do what you will with that information. Don't feel guilty about 1 or 2 wasteful purchases here and there, because those 1 or 2 wasteful purchases isn't going to make or break anything. When I'm buying medication, I always opt for the biggest bottles. I still take over-the-counters, like I said, sometimes, because they do help occasionally. And so instead of buying a bunch of little bottles like these, I'll buy a bottle with like, how many did this have? This had 50 in it, so I'll try to find a bottle with like 1 or 2 or 300 capsules in it. That way I don't have to buy a bunch of these little ones over and over again. I keep this one and refill it so that way I can go in my hiking bag, because this is obviously a lot easier for traveling. But that reduces a lot of waste as well. There's still some waste involved, but it is a plastic number 2, so it is recyclable, which is good. But always opt for the biggest one as long as you're going to use them all before they expire, which if you have chronic pain, you will. So that can reduce a lot of waste in that aspect, buying in bulk. When I was on my self-injections, I recycled what I could. Like, all of the packaging was cardboard and some of it was recyclable plastic. And then, of course, dispose of your needles properly as well. Say if your doctor has like a needle drop-off bin that you can use. And then I also used bamboo bandages and reusable pieces of cloth to like sanitize the area as well, instead of using any disposables to have to sanitize the area. Obviously, hydrated is super, super important in general, but especially if you have migraines. Not only do I get migraines out of nowhere, but I also get migraines out of somewhere. So like if I'm dehydrated, I will get a migraine, like guaranteed. So I have to stay hydrated. Using my reusable water bottle is how I prevent from getting dehydrated, and how I also prevent a lot of waste. I also use my reusable coffee cup. I got a little coffee today just as a little treat, but some days I'm like, this migraine is so bad, I know medication won't fix it, but I don't know, if you have migraines, you just kind of know what will fix it. And some days I'm like, I need caffeine. Caffeine will fix it. So I take my reusable coffee cup to the coffee shop and get it there. And if you're like, why don't you make coffee at home? I don't do coffee at home because, again, migraine sensitive. If I become reliant on caffeine addicted, and I miss coffee, not just like miss a day of coffee, like if my coffee is an hour late, I will get a headache. I'm not even kidding you. Everything gives me a migraine. So I can't become caffeine addicted, so caffeine is a little treat for me. This is why I go get it at cafes and take my reusable coffee cup. When I'm sleeping, I use a reusable eye mask. Again, I'm very sensitive to light when I get migraines, and then the light also prevents me from being able to fall asleep, so I use a reusable eye mask. I don't know if they make disposable ones, but here's what it looks like. Where did I get this? On Base, like at a Base store, the BX. Nothing fancy, obviously nothing eco-friendly, but I've had this for, I don't know, several years. I used to have one from Sheets and Giggles, so I think theirs is more eco-friendly. I think it was made out of bamboo. Again, with all of these like wasteful products that you have to buy, if they are necessity for you, first off, that's fine. If a wasteful product is necessary for you, that's different than just over consuming. Not to mention, if you make a wasteful product last as long as possible, it then becomes sustainable in its own ways. A zero waste swap that I didn't think about until I started working at the state park and I needed hearing protection to work with like power tools and stuff was earbuds. A lot of the earbuds are those single-use ones that you roll up and you stick in your ear, and they get gross so easily. But I actually got these before that because I'm very noise sensitive in general, but specifically when I have a migraine, like talking and chewing is too much for me when I have a migraine. So I was like, I need something to help reduce the pain. So I got these reusable earbuds. They're from Loop. Again, not an eco-friendly company, but because these are completely reusable, like forever, they are inherently eco in that way. So they just go in your ear like normal. And these are fantastic, the design of these, because they filter out like certain frequencies, so like you can still hear talking normally. I wore these at a wedding this spring, 2 weddings this spring winter, and I could hear people talking to me right in front of me, and they were like having, and I was like having to shout because they couldn't hear me, but they could talk normal volume and I could hear them with these in, and like all the music was dampened. So like these are amazing for folks with sound sensitivity, whether you're like neurodivergent or have chronic migraines or just work in a job where you need hearing protection. These are great. When I have to go into the doctor, I use a reusable face mask instead of disposables. Since I am sensitive to light, I have to keep all of the like screen brightness down on my phone. It probably doesn't make as much of a difference on my phone, but like every single time I go to work, my at-home laptop, all the screen brightness is turned down, and this is eco-friendly because it's saving the battery, and the less battery you have to use, the less you have to charge it, and the less fossil fuels you have to use. So by having migraines, I'm saving the planet. So since I have migraines 54% of the time, and I still have to go about normal life, I don't always like to cook. So I have learned to just make a bunch of food and eat leftovers. I'm a big leftover fan, so no food waste goes to waste in this house. So having leftovers and eating them is obviously reducing food waste, but also a total game changer for someone with chronic pain and days when after a full long day of work and then having to take care of like Denali and mochi and everything, I can come home, heat up leftovers, game changer. Oh, and because I have migraines, I have to keep a very strict schedule with sleeping and eating, meaning if I don't have 3 square meals a day, I will get a migraine. If I miss a meal too. Like, not even miss a meal, but like, my meal is late. My body loves a schedule. So does my brain. But what I mean is if like, I wake up late, well, waking up late will give me a migraine. But if I wake up late and then also my breakfast is late, significantly. Like if I normally eat breakfast around 7 and I wait till 8 o'clock, I'll be fine. But if I like waited to have breakfast until like 10 or 11, migraine. So anyway, the leftovers means I will have a meal regardless of whether I'm in pain or not, and hopefully prevent me from getting a migraine or from my current migraine getting worse. I also get a lot of fresh air. Our doors open right now. If it was not so cold, today's freezing. It's mid-June and it's freezing. I would have my windows open to get some fresh air, which is obviously great for the planet. I'm reducing our reliance on electricity for AC. It's a natural air freshener, so we're using less air fresheners. We're using 0 air fresheners. And getting fresh air is just really great for my body as well. But at the end of the day, I'm not perfect. Nobody is perfect. And if you are chronically ill or have chronic pain, you know that you can't be perfect either. I made a full video recently about things I still buy in plastic as an environmentalist, and you can check that out up here. But here are a few things that I still buy in plastic because, first off, I don't have time right now. My current job schedule is really crazy and I don't have time to make a lot of stuff from scratch. if I have a migraine when I get home from work, I definitely don't want to be making stuff from scratch. Like, that is the last thing I'm going to be wanting to do. So here's some stuff that I still buy in plastic. I think you might be able to see them. I got a pack of bagels up there. We buy wraps, we buy breads, all that sort of stuff in packaging. Other single-use stuff like mayonnaise, peanut butter, jams, those come in glass. So like that's, at least I can reuse the jars. But those are just some things that I still buy in packaging. So instead, when you have to use this sort of packaging, and this goes for anybody too, like not just the chronically ill folks, for everybody, when you have to buy stuff in packaging, whether you're too busy, don't have the money, whatever, to make your own stuff from scratch, find ways to reuse it. The bread bags we reuse as dog waste bags. The jars, obviously there's endless uses to reuse jars. I use them to pack leftovers in, to pack our lunches in. And of course, I just recycle what I can as well. I just want to talk about it again because this is such a common theme in the zero waste movement. Not buying anything that's remotely wasteful, which can be so harmful for everybody, but specifically people who are sick, chronically ill, chronic pain, like the ice helmet. That's my best example. Another one I have, though, is prescription sunglasses. Because like I said, I'm extremely sensitive to light. So when I have a migraine, I need to wear sunglasses, and sometimes I need to wear sunglasses to prevent migraines. And so when I first started working here at the park, I'm like, I'm outside all day, I need to wear sunglasses or I'm gonna get a migraine. But as you can see, I wear prescription glasses. So because all day I was wearing sunglasses to prevent the light sensitivity, I wasn't wearing my prescription glasses, that was giving me a migraine. And I'm like, I can't buy prescription sunglasses, that's so wasteful, because like I'm not spending hundreds or thousands of dollars on prescription sunglasses. I know they can get really expensive, especially for an eco brand. I'm like, I would have to order from Zenni, and that's so wasteful because they're obviously not sustainable. How can you be sustainable and sell $40 prescription sunglasses? But I did it. I did it, and here they are. I'll show you the proof right here. The proof is in the eyeglasses case. But again, when I tell you, life changing. I have not had a single migraine induced from lack of prescription glasses or lack of sunglasses, clearly, since I bought these, because now they protect my brain from both. And I've been wanting prescription sunglasses for years. Years. Ever since I started wearing glasses, I'm like, well, I need both. And this is such a common theme in the zero waste movement, and I even obviously fell victim to it as well. Like, if you need something, if you think it will help your life in any way, but specifically if you think it'll help you not be in pain, buy it. That one wasteful thing, these one pair of wasteful sunglasses, isn't causing climate change. And I know people too who are like, I'm sick, but my medication comes in plastic. Buy the medication. Your one bottle of pills, your one pill, like, what do they call those? Those little bubble packets that you just pop the things out the back. Your one packet of those that are not recyclable is not causing climate change. If you need medication to feel better or even cure whatever sort of chronic illness, chronic pain you're in, you don't deserve to be in pain. You don't deserve to feel sick all the time. And if your medication is helping you, if it's recyclable or not, take it. The point is you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of the planet. You can't take care of the planet if you're chronically in pain, if you're chronically ill, even if you're just sick for a time being. The faster you heal, the faster you can feel any sort of better, the better. And don't stress yourself over one or two or a handful of unsustainable options, unsustainable things that you have to bring into your life, because that's not causing climate change. It is capitalism, it is the billionaires, it is like airplanes and fast fashion and animal agriculture. Those are the culprits, not you taking your migraine medication. Anyway, I also said that I have arthritis, so here are some ways that I cope with my hand pain. I have a homemade anti-inflammatory oil that I made, and I just now found out I should have used castor oil instead of olive oil, because castor oil is also anti-inflammatory. But anyway, I just foraged a bunch of dandelions and soaked them in the olive oil for like 4 weeks, because dandelions are anti-inflammatory, and then I added some eucalyptus essential oil to it that I got secondhand, which is also anti-inflammatory. So it's an anti-inflammatory oil, topical oil, that I just apply to my hands every night, and I kid you not, it helps so good. Like, I notice a day that I don't use it, my hands will hurt the next day. And this has become very crucial because now I'm working with my hands a ton. I used to have a desk job, so like typing would bother them occasionally, but now I'm like using shovels, using tools all day long working in the park. So definitely important for me. I also, with the cold pack, I use a reusable heat pack as well. And because I only had that one, hot and ice, it was hard to like warm it up from frozen, and then it was hard to freeze it from hot. So I needed one of each. And I stumbled across this in Lake Tahoe. It's handmade, and as you can hear, it's made from cherry pits. So it's made from food waste. It's keeping food waste out of the landfill. Handmade, small business. It's called Cherapy, like therapy, but cherry. I will leave them linked down below. It heats up really well in the microwave, and using heat on my joints which seems weird because you would think that heat would reduce and like encourage the inflammation, but heat really reduces the pain in my bones. So if you are in the same boat, get you one of these. I also just eat a lot of turmeric. I put it in basically everything I cook because that also reduces inflammation, and I get it in bulk, so like super eco-friendly in that way. And again, I opt for the largest bottles that I can of anti-inflammatory medication instead of a bunch of these small ones. So when we first started backpacking in 2021, I was like, listen, I need hand warmers because my hands and my toes are getting so affected by camping in the cold. And here's what these single-use ones look like. I used to use them when I was in marching band. They're just little teeny tiny things. You shake them up and they heat up. They're like activated charcoal or something. They last only about 8 hours and they have to be thrown away. They can't be recycled. They get really hot, like they work really well, but I hated like they were single-use. So I got me one of these. It's from Zippos, like not a super eco company, but there we go. It's rechargeable. It is a rechargeable hand warmer. It's got a lanyard so I can use it to keep my organs warm. I can use it to heat up my hands or my feet. It also serves as a battery pack, like if you need an emergency battery to recharge your phone in the backcountry. And I think it also has a flashlight. Like this thing is amazing. I think it was around $30, so like pretty affordable. Like if you're buying those disposable hand warmers, this will pay for itself. At the end of the day, do what you gotta do. Take the medications you need to take. Buy the things that you need to make your life better, like my ice helmet and my prescription sunglasses. Even if they're wasteful, if it's just a couple things, it's really not going to make or break anything. Don't beat yourself up if you make waste, whether you're chronically ill or you're not, but especially if you're chronically ill or in chronic pain. Like, you're doing what you can with what you were born with and what you have access to, so don't beat yourself up for the waste you create. And again, at the end of the day, consult your doctors. I'm not a healthcare professional. These are just my personal experiences as someone living with chronic pain for the last several years. I hope that you enjoyed this video, something I have never seen someone talk about in the zero waste world, but something that I think is important to talk about because so many people are out there living with chronic illness, these invisible illnesses. Like, people don't know that I have migraines. Oh, I guess just some funny anecdotes. I think they're funny. I forget that people are not in pain all the time. You know, it's one of those, oh, I just thought this was normal because it's normal to me. The first time I realized having migraines was a problem was January 2019. I was at work. And my boss was like, are you feeling okay today? Like, your work is not as good as it normally is. And I'm like, yeah, I guess. Like, I just have a migraine. Like, he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, how long? I'm like, 3 days. And dead silent, crickets. Everyone's like, 3 days. And I'm like, yeah, like, that's not that long. Normally, like, when they were at their worst, I was having migraines for literal weeks at a time. No breaks. So I was like, yeah, 3 days. Like, that's nothing. That's, like, basically an hour. Living in dog years. And he was like, you need to go to the doctor. And I'm like, what? He's like, you need to go to the doctor. I'm like, okay, I guess. I'm in the military. I have free healthcare. I'm going to take advantage of it. I didn't have anything that, like, jaw-dropping until recently. This person I work with at the interpretive center a couple weeks ago, she's like, how are you? I'm like, I'm okay. She's like, okay. I'm like, yeah, I have a migraine. She's like, yeah, that sucks. I'm like, oh, well, I have them all the time. So, like, I'm used to it. And she's like, all the time? I'm like, yeah, like 54% of my life. And she's like, I just forget people are not in pain all the time. And I'm so used to being in pain, which is terrible, but I'm so used to being in pain that I'm just like, I've got a migraine, you know, I have to go to work, I have to cook, I have to do my life because I can't just take off 54% of my life, you know? This video is important because there are people living with chronic pain all around you. Nobody knows I have migraines because they're invisible. Nobody knows I have Raynaud's until my hands start to turn colors. And same with arthritis, same with whatever disability or chronic illness you're living with. So this is something I'm really passionate about talking about because I'm experiencing it. I know some of you are experiencing it, and it's also just important to spread that message that if you need something to feel better, don't beat yourself up for it if it's not that best for the planet, because you have to take care of yourself. If you have any more questions around this topic, definitely let me know down below. Let me know how you live zero waste with chronic illness, chronic pain down below. And yeah, let me know if there's any more topics like this that you want to hear about. And if you have any questions, like, I'm an open book. I don't mind talking about my pain and my illnesses and my diagnoses. I really appreciate your time, especially if you made it all the way to the end, but especially if you watched this video at all, because I know this is not a very, like, sexy zero waste topic or a zero waste topic that anybody has ever talked about. So I appreciate any and all support on this video because this is an important topic. Next week, we're talking about zero waste groceries, and we're not going to talk about bulk shopping at all. This is how to go zero waste grocery shopping at a regular grocery store, like Walmart, like Target, like Kroger, those sort of grocery stores. So stay tuned for that. If you're not subscribed, definitely hit the subscribe button so you can be notified of next week's video. Until then, though, I will see you then. Remember that your small actions really do make a big difference in the long run, but your small wasteful actions are not causing climate change. Don't beat yourself up over that. just another reminder. I'll see you next week. Bye, guys. Should I put on a necklace?
Sure.
That completes it. Why did I hit record? I'm not sure.